is Times Radio.
And this is Times Radio Breakfast Morning to you. It's 8:35. It's Christmas Eve, don't you know? Let me tell you about some other stuff that is coming up a bit later on in the programme. We're going to be talking to the musical theatre actor John Owen Jones about how COVID is affecting the West End. Because I'm a bit unsure about that, really. A lot of shows have been cancelled, but then there seem to be some that are still going on. So it'll be interesting to find out exactly what's happening there and whether, as I was talking about yesterday, people are taking advantage of the fact that there are now spaces, seats available for shows that perhaps they might not have been able to see. Matt Chorley's here about the particular culture sector that Labour are worried about, protecting live events, theatre, music and culture. And as I said, we are going to be speaking to the musical theatre star who stepped in at the last minute yesterday to keep London's longest running musical going. We'll hear from him a bit later on in the programme. It is now 8:40. And the show must go on. The musical theatre star brought in to save last night's performance of Les Mis.
It's Thursday the 23rd of December.
(9:35) we'll hear from a West End performer who was subbed in last night to perform in Les Mis without so much as a rehearsal. We'll go around the world, stopping off in dozens of West End shows have been forced to close or cancel performances as cast members are forced to isolate with COVID-19. But for London's longest running musical, that's Les Miserables, of course, the show must go on.
Who am I? Who am I? I'm Jean Valjean. Silent! And so Javert, you see it's true. This man bears no more guilt than you. Who am I? 2, 4, 6,
Goodness me, the energy. That is John Owen Jones performing Who Am I as Jean Valjean in the stage show. And yesterday he had to return to the Sondheim Theatre to reprise a role despite not having done it for over a year. And without rehearsing. Oh my goodness me. Goodness me. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Have you recovered?
Barely. I've just woken up to about 45 phone messages as well. So, yeah, it was a massive adrenaline rush, as you can imagine. And, as you were saying, the West End has been absolutely ravaged by COVID this year. It's insane what's going on.
Yes, absolutely. At what time did you get the call from the production team?
Well, I was performing in a concert on Monday night, and I got a call from Cameron McIntosh's office, asking if I was prepared to be on standby just in case. And I was like, well, I thought I'd finished work for Christmas because this concert was my last one, and everyone's keeping very safe backstage. Everyone's testing all the time. Everyone's cleaning everything, wearing masks, distancing, because we want the show to go on because we don't want to disappoint audience members who've maybe travelled in and paid a lot of money for tickets. So when I got the call, I said, of course I'll go on standby, thinking, look, the chances of me going on are slim to none. And then yesterday morning, I got a call saying, the Valjean, the cover Valjean they had, he had to isolate. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know the show now because it's a new staging and everything, and I haven't done that for 6 years, that version of the show. Oh. But I have done a concert version, so they agreed to keep the show going. They did a very rushed together and ultimately very successful concert version of the show, so the audience and the cast could cope with everything that was being changed. So yeah, it was so I had no rehearsal. We just walked on and did it. We talked about it, and then I went on and. I think the word I'm looking for is I got away with it.
What's the difference between the two versions? You have to forgive my ignorance.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, look, Les Mis is, like all theatre, it's an organic living thing, really, and it changes and mutates all the time. Not unlike a virus, really.
Oh, God.
And, the original show that was staged like 35 years ago had a particular set design, and that was changed for the 25th anniversary of the show 10 years ago, which I was part of. Right.
Right.
And that is what's currently running in the West End. Now, a couple of years ago, there was a very special concert version put on, which I was part of, which was like semi-staged. So, it actually was almost COVID-proof because nobody was talking to each other on the stage. Everyone was facing forward, keeping their distance. And so that's what we kind of had to appropriate last night. Yeah, but it was literally the set of the show, but with a bunch of chairs put on it, and everyone stood up and sung their bits. And I have to say that piece, Les Mis, the writing of the piece is so strong that it doesn't need any set or any lights or anything to tell the story. So it's one of the few shows that works like that. So that's kind of why it's so special, I think.
And what about the audience? Was it full capacity? Were there gaps?
Yeah, there were gaps, so kind of noticeable gaps, and that's it's because I think people are just buying tickets and they're not coming. That seems to be the way it is at the moment. But I don't know. I mean, maybe some of the tickets hadn't sold, but there were still people there from overseas who travelled to see the show. It's got such a legacy, and people all over the world want to see the London version, the original version of Les Mis. So. And it has a very rabid audience, a very keen bunch of fans who love the show. And, I should imagine if I perform today, and I don't know if I will yet, I've tested negative this morning, but I had my booster yesterday morning, which I'd booked for weeks. So I suddenly, about halfway through the show last night, I suddenly started feeling rather unusual.
You do feel a bit groggy for a day.
Yeah, apparently. But I seem all right this morning, and I just had a message from a cast member now who's tested positive. And I'm negative, but it's one of those things like this variant of the virus seems to get through protection really quickly. It's very frustrating, and certainly the way the industry has had to react to it, it's like I don't think we can do anything more, to be honest.
No, but if you were to get a positive test, then who is there another stand-in?
Not at the moment, no.
It'll be you, Elsa.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Well, I mean, can you grow a beard?
You know what? I don't know what to say to that. I already have. Let's not do that. Let's move on, John, shall we? Oh my goodness me! You've also recently released a Christmas album called simply The Christmas Album. What is it about Christmas music that made you want to record a whole album of it, and what kind of songs are on it?
Well, I mean, basically, I've recorded a few albums, and I'm known for kind of, like Les Mis, big, heavy, dramatic roles, And I was sitting, like many people, twiddling my thumbs in my industry, like not knowing what to do next. And I thought, I think I'll just do something that is unexpected for people like me, and also happy and celebratory and joyful. And what's better than a Christmas album? So when I put it together, I was originally going to do an album just of covers of classic songs like, White Christmas, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, that era. The 50s and 60s is my favourite Christmas music. But as I cast around looking for songs, and I talked to people and colleagues and friends and family, said, oh, you should record this, oh, you should record that. And so it ended up with half of the album is like classic Christmas tunes, and the second half of the album is unknowns, rarities, and new stuff. I've even co-written 2 songs. So it became what was going to be like a couple of weeks in the studio in the summer. It took about 6 months to make it. It ended up becoming much more complicated, but it was a lot of fun, and I think it's probably the best thing I've ever done, album-wise. So I'm very happy with it.
We have to hear it now, I think. As it's Christmas, we're just going to have a quick listen to you performing Please Come Home for Christmas Day.
Every day, it feels like I am wishing all my life away. What will it take? What promise do I have to make?
Oh, that's lovely stuff. Listen, you know what? I've just seen a tweet from you that actually, when you were on stage, doing your very rapidly trying to remember everything, something you hadn't done in a long time, you actually did forget the words to a particular scene and made up lyrics on the spot.
Yeah. I mean, it's the other thing with this concert version, right? So normally in a show, you're on stage, you do a scene, you go off stage, and then you can have a drink or relax or whatever, right? But in this version, we all had to sit on the stage all the time.
Right.
So I'm sitting there confidently knowing what's coming next most of the time, and then suddenly we get to a scene where I'm sitting like, I don't remember this scene.
Oh, no.
But it was like
It's like an anxiety dream. That's awful.
Yeah, it's a scene that's in the show that I have performed years ago, but it wasn't in the concert version I did last year.
God.
So I'm suddenly like, oh God, what are the lines? And then I thought, trust it, it'll be fine. I got up, I started to sing, and then nothing came. So I just made something up, and it happened to fit the story, and it rhymed.
Oh,
I wish I could remember what it was.
You need a bonus for that, John. You really do. Well,
No.
listen,
My bonus is talking to you this morning.
Oh, of course. Well, I like what you did there. You've almost made up for the beard comment, but not quite. John Owen Jones, thank you very much for talking to us, and good luck to you tonight if that's what you end up doing, and I'm sure you will. It is now 9:48. This is Times Radio Breakfast with Callum McDonald and Asma.